Girl is half of the society. That means girl is wife, girl is mother, girl is daughter, and girl is all of the team for the society. And when there is no girl, the society couldn't be full.
L'histoire générale de l'Afrique, produite par l'UNESCO sur quand même près d'un quart de siècle, est une œuvre monumentale, extrêmement importante pour l'Afrique, certes, mais pour le monde entier.
It's one thing to have good information, it's another thing to put the information where people can access it. That's where platforms become important. So you have to create a platform that is both relevant but also accessible.
I would want to imagine that young women can be able to click and read about Wangari Maathai. They can click and read about the women soldiers in Dahomey. They can click and see the women who played an important role in resisting colonialization. Click and listen to the music of Miriam Makeba. That is the best way to mentor young women.
Music and media and this kind of stimulus is become a much more prevalent aspect of the livelihood of children.
So it's really important that we do target ICT at the school level, because it can be used to bring new and modern educational resources to students, as well as new and modern pedagogical approaches of conveying knowledge and skills to students. This will provide students in Africa with a competitive edge that students in other parts of the world enjoy, as well as the resources that they have.
Il est extrêmement important qu'on se penche davantage sur quel contenu on veut vraiment donner à travers ces outils, qui restent des outils extraordinaires, mais le contenu est aussi important que l'outil lui-même.
Gender equality means recognizing and valuing whatever contribution a woman chooses to make to society. It is not about tick boxes, it's not about, 50-50, it's about saying if a woman chooses whatever she chooses to do with her life, society needs to respect that and value that as an equal and important choice.
The more stories you hear about women who are doing stuff on their own and following their dreams and doing what they want to do, I think it's inspirational. And whenever someone says, but you're a woman, you can't do this, you can point to that lady and be like, she did it, so why can't I?
Il y a eu des femmes, des figures dans l'histoire africaine qui méritaient d'être mieux connues, et je pense qu'à travers ce projet de l'UNESCO, non seulement l'histoire générale de l'Afrique, mais même cette histoire d'utilisation des technologies de l'information et de la communication mettra davantage en valeur ces figures, et qui pourraient jouer ce rôle de modèle pour les sociétés en développement contemporaines de l'Afrique.
Women empowerment to me means that I could say whatever I want to say, and I could dream whatever I want to dream, and want to, I could be ambitious or no, I'm not ambitious at all, and people would be okay with it.
Empowerment to me is when a woman is able to make choices, to decide for herself, to exploit her own potential, to be able to realize her own dreams, and to have access and control of factors that make her be able to run her own life and be in charge of her own destiny.
And if we look at most of the women in, the leaders that were women in the past in our history, they have done it all. They haven't just done the domestic side of it, what's required from them, from society, raising children, managing a household, but they've even been able to penetrate the politics and, work with the men and succeed in different leadership positions. And so to teach the youth that both is possible, we need to teach the youth about the history and that women have done it in the past.
I think that it is so important, you know, to create a space where it is safe for men to be men and not to demasculinize them, but also to say actually that in a society that's equal and fair, everyone has a role to play, and a man can decide as much as a woman can what their role is, and if they understand how each other play a part, then it's about being complementary. As opposed to one dominating the other, and that each society, each community across Africa, that will look different in different places. You know, I don't think that there is one model for what gender equality looks like and for what engaging with men and boys looks like. I think every community deserves the right to decide for itself what that looks like, and for women to say this is how we feel comfortable within our own community, and for men to say we're going to help you play that part, whatever that part is.
I think it's really cool because, like I said, I don't think there isn't a child in Ethiopia that doesn't know the story of Pocahontas, because Pocahontas is in a Disney comic-ish. And, you know, kids love to read, especially if they have color books and there's picture books, and they're going to be so taken by them, and then they get to reenact them in their little games and whatnot. And I used to do that with Pocahontas, I remember when I was younger. And so to have an African version of that, it's really nice. I wish I had these comics when I was younger, too.
This is like a very smart and practical and modern way of communicating and telling stories. I mean, even if you just break it down to like storytelling, a story now will have a visual element, will have some sound, you know, it's off the page audiobooks. Like, this is definitely like a logical progression in the educational process.
So it's really important that we offer schools, teachers and students interactive pedagogical tools. These tools will move teachers away from simply conveying knowledge, but allowing students to learn and to develop new skills. So we look at student-centered learning approaches. So teachers are no longer simply talking at students and students are absorbing the knowledge, but students are active learners. And ICT can be a fantastic way of students actually learning.
You know, we memorize lyrics faster than we memorize books.
It's true.
So,
And they last longer as well.
And they last longer, exactly, because you hear a song 10 years later, you're still singing along to it.
What I think is kind of different about this project or initiative through UNESCO and how it could really help the youth is that, you know, we're getting exposed to our own culture and our own history in a different way, which is necessary. And so through different platforms, and whether it's videos or comic strips or audio, it's something that will stick with you, as opposed to, you know, reading like 50 pages of my history textbook as a 7th grader, memorizing it for an exam and then forgetting it the next day. So important for the youth to learn about, you know, leaders of other African countries, much like their own African country, and also like the role of women in other African countries. And it brings out a sense of unity, you know, a sense of, you know, identity as an African.
I think the importance of collaborations between Africans from the diaspora and Africans who are residing on the continent and grew up on the continent is that it's a different side of the same story. It's a different chapter. It's an offspring of this story that happens on the continent, but still relevant and still like something that can help people who live and grow up on the continent really understand more about themselves and vice versa.
You know, when I was young, I don't think I had a role model, but I knew what I wanted to be. But as I grew up and I went through university and I started meeting university teachers who were women, my warden was, I think, my first role model. I looked at my warden at the University of Nairobi Professor Bulam Buhemuka, and I thought, oh, this is something.
For me, it's Wangari Maathai. She's the first woman to ever win a Nobel Prize in Africa. She's a feminist and also she's an environmentalist. She was able to reduce. She told about conservation, about the conservation of recycled materials, and also she's known for empowering people to do better for the world. That's why I love Wangari Maathai.
Ma mère, personnellement, était au Tanganyika, à l'époque c'était le Tanganyika et pas la Tanzanie, en 62, pour la création de la panafricaine des femmes. Donc ma mère et ses amis et ses sœurs de tous les pays africains se sont retrouvés là pour dire, il y a eu l'indépendance des États africains, la plupart des États africains, on était en 62. Aujourd'hui, il nous faut nous unir pour vraiment créer cette Afrique libre. Elles étaient là en 62. Et je me maintiens avant les hommes, avant la mise en place de l'OUA en 63.
We need role models who tell us what to do, what kind of people we need to
look
be.
up to.
Yes, we need them. So we don't get many people.
Great people, they don't come from a certain country only. You know, great people are found everywhere in Africa and everywhere else in the world. And when you know about them, like she said, it's very inspirational because a lot of the leaders, you know, take Barack Obama for instance, he said that his all-time hero was Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela was a continent away. And you know, being Africans have a lot of history. You know, Africa, the African continent, and a lot of the countries have existed for thousands of years. And in those thousands of years, you're going to find someone of high profile that you relate to, especially women. And there's always women who contributed a lot to history, and they're just a source of inspiration. And not knowing about them, it's hard because you know you have nothing to help you through your struggle, because being a woman is hard and you get discriminated against and whatnot. And then you have no one to be like, okay, she got through it and she did it, so I could do it as well. You're just like, okay, I'm in this by myself.
When you go to the marketplace and you see women who are multitasking in a way that will drive everyone else mad, you know, I think I am so fortunate that I just have to do two things. You know, I'm a sister, a girlfriend, an editor, whereas these women are so much more, and they really genuinely carry their communities on their backs. And so those are the unsung heroes who, you know, who deserve applauding probably more, you know, and I think those are the women who make me really proud to be African.